Let us examine some wars fought throughout your centuries for the intended glory of God. If you go back to the early history of your world, you will find the belief that war can be justified has always existed. The Bible addresses war. This great book of your world influences Judaism, Christianity, and to a large degree Islam. Judaism does not regard violence and war to promote justice as always wrong. They feel there are times that are morally acceptable to kill other human beings. I myself stated that killing for the purpose of self-preservation is justified. All my creations on earth have been given the basic survival instinct. That has never been in question. It is the reasons for entering into war in the first place that are in question. Judaism has taught that before declaring war or starting a battle, there must be a genuine attempt to make peace and avoid the conflict. Jewish law only permits combatants to deliberately kill in war. This is no longer true. Jews, Muslims, and Christians blow up marketplaces, buses, buildings, and other places and public areas with no or sometimes cursory regard for the lives of civilians. Your God himself is identified as a warrior in the Old Testament. God gives his clear approval to war. He is shown as leading the Jews in conflict, bringing them victory, protecting them from enemy forces. But also, the Old Testament is filled with Jewish longing for peace. And he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war any more. Peace emanates from God, and that will only be fully realized when there is justice and accord, not just between peoples, but between individual nations. It has always been recognized that peace is something for which all people strive, and yet, because of the nature of man and his false thinking, it has always been elusive. Terrorism today is based on the premise that there can be no real peace without justice for all, but that definition of justice has never been reconciled. Jewish people from the earliest times greet you with shalom, or peace. The Talmud states that a person, a Jew or a non-Jew, is permitted to kill a pursuer to save his own life. This ruling applies to both individuals and groups of people and nations. The laws of most nations have incorporated this notion of self-defense as a justified reason to kill. The ancient rabbis thought that there were three types of war that a Jewish state should consider. First, there were obligatory wars. These are wars that God commanded the Jews to fight. They include the biblical wars against the Canaanites and against the Amalekites. Second, there were defensive wars. Jewish people are obligated and compelled to fight if they are attacked. I observe that the Jews of today still maintain this belief with staunch vehemence. This principle also sanctions preemptive strikes to crush the enemy's ability to do harm to the Jewish people. Whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed, for in the image of God made he man. Genesis 6:9. Lastly, the Jews believe in the right of optional wars. These are wars waged for good reason, when no other form of negotiation remains possible. The Jewish tradition is clear that before declaring war or starting a battle, there must be an attempt to make peace. When thou comest nigh unto a city to fight against it, then proclaim peace unto it. Deuteronomy 20:10. Even your ancient Greek and Persian wars have been romanticized in literature as a fight between two cultures where the gods take sides to defend their favorites. The gods of ancient Greek, Roman, and Norse mythology are no longer worshipped in your world. Why did they vanish as a belief? The stories of these gods once taught as religion are now relegated to the teachings of literature. Is this a foreshadowing of the way of all religion? It might be unimaginable to you today in the light of all the religious fervor that dominates the thinking of mankind, but the far distant future will proclaim a world that would be unrecognizable today.